Hello, my name is Tony Chin-Quee,
And I'm Joan Chan.
and welcome to Social Rounds, the podcast
Woo.
in which two of the happiest surgeon dropouts you'll ever meet, but not today because we got Joan give our unsolicited opinions on the states of medicine, the world at large, pop culture, and whatever else we happen to find interesting. And like you heard, your ears do not deceive you. The dulcet vocal tones that you heard were those of Dr. Joan Chan, MD. She's day one friend of the pod, well-seasoned co-host, professional yapper, just like me. We love her. Welcome back, Joan.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you so much for having me back. It is a thrill as always. Um, yeah, I should start calling myself a professional yapper.
Yeah.
It's a fun term.
mm, I mean, I think it lets people know what you feel is important. Okay.
Yes.
And yapping, I think
Ugh,
I was like, is
love
it
it.
derogatory to be a yapper? But it just sounds like it gives your whole personality energy.
Yes. And I feel like I'm sure the term's been around for a while, but I feel like I've just heard it more recently, like on the internet streets, as like people calling themselves it in an affirming way.
Hmm.
And like honestly, in my younger years, I would never have thought of myself that way because I'm like a nice girl and I don't want to be too much. But like honestly, the whole time inside of me, there's been a yapper that's been like ready and raging to come out. And I'm so thrilled to be in my like yapper era and just like enjoying my time.
You can yap, Joan Chan,
Yes, I
and
sure
we
can.
don't tolerate anybody who can't because you got to keep up with
Yeah,
us
exactly.
out here.
One word
Um,
answers, not good
yeah,
for
one word
podcasting.
answers, you're gonna get cut.
Yeah.
So actually, like, okay, so we've grown fond of the co-hosting threesome here
Mhm.
at Social Rounds, but sadly, Frances May has been sidelined by injury this
Ugh,
week.
sad.
Um, I'll let her tell the story when she returns, but I assure everybody she's probably going to be okay. And the story is like cartoonishly tragic, and we cannot
It
wait
is.
to, to
I've heard
hear
it.
how she tries to spin it.
Yeah.
But know that I was laughing, but also I wish her well. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Um,
100%.
and also, I guess, you sound great. I was telling you before we hopped on, I've been under the weather.
Yeah.
I contracted the flu from my
Mhm.
dirtbag children. And it's been really gross around here. And it just made me think, since Joan, we've come to learn that you are like the doctor of sunshine, patients love you. You're super nice to them, and you don't like give people shit to their faces like I tend to do. Um, so I would love if you could explain to the audience,
Mhm.
those in the audience who might be vaccine skeptic, and I know they exist,
Uh,
even though we're
yes,
doctors,
yes,
why I'm still happy that I received my flu shot, even though Tony got the flu.
right? Well, here's the thing, herd immunity. So, first of all, if it helped lower the chance that you transmitted that flu to anyone else, still good.
Still
Also,
good.
if it lowered the chance of you getting it so severely that you needed to, well, first of all, that you were sicker. Sicker is badder. Less sicker is gooder. I'm good at English.
Put
Know what I'm
that, yeah,
saying?
we're gonna put that on the Social Rounds
That's
t-shirts, guys.
yeah, the T-shirt, please. So, and we know that even if it doesn't fully protect you from getting it at all, it lowers the chance of hospitalization, and especially in vulnerable people. Plus, you've got the kiddos in your household, right? So the chance that maybe there was another strain of flu you could have contracted that would have caused more harm, right? Like it's the collective, it's not the singular. And
Mhm.
our brains have not been trained to think that way. But that is what makes vaccines, that's where vaccines do their best work, is thinking in the collective,
So thinking of others, you say, is that
thinking
is
of
that
others.
is that the key to understanding why vaccines are important?
Yes, it's others, including yourself. It's not a completely selfless act, but it also helps your neighbor. It helps your community. It helps the people who maybe can't get the vaccine because of whatever reasons they can't, like medically, or they're too young, they're vulnerable, they're under 6 months old, for example, the little babies. Like Think of the
Mm-hmm.
babies, think of the
Mm-hmm.
seniors, think of the chronically ill, and think of yourself and how wouldn't you want even like a few less days of feeling totally like hot garbage? And the
Yes.
vaccine gives you a good chance of that. So
Look
let's
at
go for
this.
it.
You guys, this is exactly what I expected from Joan to just give it to y'all just smooth and politely. But I'm gonna say something to you animals, okay? Because I know that the flu is ravaging America right now. And it's in
Yeah.
England too, and it's all
Yeah.
fucked up over here. But guess
Yeah.
what? The reality is people don't understand how vaccines work or are supposed to work, even with
Yeah.
all the COVID shit we went through. So guess what? If you get a vaccine, does it mean you won't get the flu? No.
No.
Okay. What it means is exactly what Joan said. If you get the flu, you will get it less severely, most likely, which I did because the flu
Yeah.
can take people out for like 2 weeks. I had it last year and I didn't
Yeah.
have my flu shot because it's not just given to us at the doctor here unless you're really old or you're in school or you work in
Oh,
hospitals, etc. Right.
interesting.
So I was down for like 10 days with that shit. And I
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
never again. So
Mhm.
I paid for my flu shot this year. And
Wow.
my daughter got her flu vaccine at school. My wife got hers. So my baby's the only one that couldn't get it. And we're just
Yeah.
trying to protect the baby, right?
Protect
My
the
daughter,
baby.
high fevers for 2 days.
Yeah.
Me, fevers for 2.5 days.
Yeah.
Then we're on the mend.
Yeah.
It's not going to put you in the fucking hospital. And that's what you got to remember. And also, if you pass it on, you're not passing on, you're less likely to pass stuff on. But if you do pass it
Yeah.
on, you're not passing on stuff that's as, virulent and dangerous. So we're just hoping that because we're all vaccinated, that we're protecting our baby son and
Yeah.
other babies in the community from getting super duper sick because they can get super duper sick.
Yeah, including
That's
dying,
the
just to say
fucking deal.
explicitly. Like
Yeah.
saving lives here.
Yeah, we just saving lives. So do it to save lives. It's kind of January right now. We're late in the season,
Still out there. You
but
can definitely still get
still,
your shot, though. Yeah,
yeah, you
for
still
sure.
get your shot. So stop fucking around. That's what I
Yeah.
have to say. Joan said it much nicer.
Period.
But I've had enough.
No.
Okay?
I
Get
didn't know
it
you had to pay
together.
for the flu shot.
I had to go to the pharmacy and pay like $30 to get
Ah,
a flu shot.
fascinating.
Um, but you do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do.
You
Yes. A
know,
worthy
yeah.
investment.
I feel it's worthy because I'm here talking with folks right now instead of gurgling on my deathbed. I'm here bringing entertainment to the masses, and it feels great. So
The healing.
that's our joint PSA for
Thank you.
this
Loved it.
week.
Yep.
Everybody drink it in. But anyway, we're going to get into it right now with segment 1, which is of course social rounds. This is where we become your life attendings, me and Joan Chan, because it's become abundantly clear that many of you out there are in desperate need of guidance, and we've got the kind of wisdom that only comes from running out of fucks. And today's question is, are you as a doctor experimenting on yourself enough? More specifically, how bad is cocaine really? Now, I'm going to explain this, right? Because
I have
because
several follow-up questions,
yeah,
but
you have several follow-up questions, as you should. But you know what? I'm going to give the context here because I read this really good article. And guess what, fuckers? This is the return of Tony teaching you something, but it's going to go quick so I don't lose any listeners. And I'm slipping it in when Frances May and her husband aren't here to tell me not to educate you
I'm
fucking
ready.
animals out there, okay? Because I think it's important that you learn things. So anyway, I read this article about Dr. William Stewart Halsted. Okay, he's one of the fathers of modern surgery. He's renowned for all sorts of shit, but one rule he seemed to like live his life by was like, hey, might as well try it on myself. So he like did one of the first blood transfusions, like by showing up to his sister's bedside when she was like hemorrhaging blood, maybe from childbirth, I can't remember, and thinking like, hey, she's losing blood. She needs more blood. I have blood. Let me give
Yeah.
her my blood. So he stuck a needle in his own arm, sucked blood out, and like injected it into his sister. And like she didn't like immediately die. So like good idea, I guess. And like next, he heard about this hot new anesthetic coming out of Germany called cocaine. So of course he went over to this is like in like turn of the century, like 1900, right? And he
Right.
goes over to Germany and he's like, I'll be the judge of that. So like he promptly like got addicted to cocaine, got many of his students addicted to it as they tried to like figure out how this stuff worked. Some of them actually died. And so, you know, it wasn't like a great time.
Yeah.
And he tried treating the cocaine addiction with morphine. You know, it's the only
Oh
thing,
boy.
you know,
Well,
at the
it's in the
time.
other direction.
It's
Yep.
in the other direction. Substance abuse wasn't even in its infancy back then. We didn't have a lot of drugs to like play with, right? So
Yeah.
he was like, I'm gonna stop this cocaine by doing this morphine, ended up addicted to both of these things. And you think it would have tanked his surgical career, but it did not, because
Okay.
of the fact that he was impaired skill-wise. He got creative, right? And he came up with this new idea. He started recruiting several lower-level apprentice doctors who had to kind of compete with each other in cutthroat fashion to, over the course of years, become skilled enough to operate in his place and by his side. So if this sounds familiar, that's
Yeah.
because this was the birth of modern day residency training. This is the model. And it came about because this doctor, world renowned, was addicted to cocaine and had to have people cover his ass. So the more you know, right? But
The more
of
you
course,
know.
Joan, this got me thinking about the benefits of experimenting on ourselves and really like
Is that the moral
experiencing.
of that story?
Yeah, that's the moral of the story. I was like, there's a lot of questions we could have, but what
Yes.
I'm thinking about is like, okay, how do how do we pass a lesson forward? And I was like,
Yeah.
you know, does it make you a better doctor to have experimented on yourself, to have to have experienced certain medical realities for yourself?
Uh-huh.
Um,
Right.
and I'm curious, you know, I know you have lots of thoughts from that story, but I'm curious
Yeah.
about, you know, what you think about that.
Yeah. Um, I do love the fact that there's a few connected morals from that story, including the like experimenting on stuff. Like I think one way to say it is like, okay, so if anyone thinks that medicine hasn't figured out, like notice the
Yup.
origin story, have been making it up since day one, and sorry, y'all,
Yeah,
still
dude.
making it up to this day. It's all actually some, hopefully with like wisdom and knowledge of what's been made up before, so you can learn to do better. But depending on who's in charge, maybe not. And that's true of
Mhm.
society and certainly of healthcare. And so, yes, I would say I have no desire to intentionally medically experiment on myself, and wouldn't recommend it, because now we have, you know, like pig feet or whatever, like Sims. Like I'm in medical education, so like we have other ways that you can still get a version of the experience without having to threaten your body with potential harm. I do think, though, putting yourself in the patient's seat and finding ways to experience what patients experience is really important.
Mhm.
Like, I always think about how my friend went to nursing school, and in nursing school, they make them taste all the like child antibiotic flavors. And I've never had to do that. And I kind of wish so I just like learned from her about like metronidazole is disgusting or whatever. But like little
Yeah.
things like that, where it's like things that aren't in the guidelines, things that that medicine forgets are important, but absolutely are important to patients. Like I think having those being more layered into medical education is a good idea. And you hear all the time, like it's almost a cliche, but it's just because it's true. Like you'll have someone who's climbing the ladder in their medical career, and then they have a medical event themselves. And it's like a road to
Mhm.
Damascus moment. And they're like,
Right.
everything I've been
And they
taught,
write a fucking book about it.
and they write a book about it.
Yeah.
No one in this room's ever done that. But for real, you're like, oh no, like, are we prioritizing the right thing? Or like, you know, healthcare has a ways to go to really centering the humanity of everyone involved in it, the people who offer the care and the people who receive the care, right? So recognizing that you don't only hold the one role, but will always potentially hold both. I do think that's an important kind of lesson to take from it, but
Mhm.
not the I have to get addicted to cocaine to relate to my patients who have cocaine addiction. Not that
Yeah,
part.
we probably don't need to do the coke.
No, probably not.
Probably not the Coke. But
Yeah.
speaking from a procedural background as a surgeon, like what we do,
Yes.
like the way we learn a lot of procedures is we practice them on each other. Like in ENT, we have these like little serpentine scopes that stick into
Yes.
someone's nose and go down to your vocal cords. And we learn to do that by sticking scopes in each other's noses, right? So we
Okay.
learn how it feels. We learn when it's wrong. We learn
Yeah.
how much it hurts. You know what I mean? While we also learn like how to do it. And I think when I think about these like experimenting on yourself in the modern day, like what you said about tasting the different antibiotic or whatever, how important that is, because we're still not very good, and we could easily get so much better at understanding, you know, the big no word, non-compliance.
Yeah.
Um,
Blech. Terrible word.
or why patients don't do what we ask them to do.
Yeah.
There's plethora of reasons why patients may not do what we ask them to do, and it's really on us to understand those reasons and find, you know, ways to help people out that works for their life, works for who they are, and also helps them understand exactly why we're asking them to do stuff and all that sort of thing. Another, like one part of non-compliance that I think gets glossed over because we get annoyed with people is that people tell us that something feels wrong, or that something hurts, or that something is gross, and they can't tolerate it, you know? And we're just, if we haven't experienced that, we're just the ones writing the shit. It's hard to empathize.
Yeah.
We can try, like, if you're nice people, you try to empathize, but unless you know, like, that medicine does suck, or trying to
Yes.
take that pill 6 times a day is untenable. Like, they're gonna forget. I was thinking, Joan, like, you remember back in med school, your standardized patients, right?
Mhm.
Did you have the rectal exam standardized patients?
We didn't have a rectal exam. We had pelvic exam, and those ladies knew
Oh,
their
okay.
ovaries really well. But we didn't have
Look.
any rectal
Oh,
exam.
yeah. Well, listen, like, along those lines, the rectal exam dudes,
Yeah.
they know where the prostate's
Yes.
at. And they're
Yeah.
just, I remember, like, anybody, like, listening, you remember in med school, like, it's just it's a train of us, okay? There's 10 of us in the fucking room, right? And there's one guy, and we're taking turns
Taking turns.
going, putting the finger up in the hole, and
Yep.
he's just chilling because his business, right? He's chilling and telling
Wow.
us, nope, you ain't got it yet. You got
Giving you a
you got
tour.
to put that finger in. Put it in.
Yeah.
Can't play around, with
Love
just like the
him.
tip. You got to put it in, and
Yes.
yep, that's the prostate. That's the left side. That's the right side. You got to get over that. It's real smooth. Like, you can't be scared. But, like those guys, wow. I wish
Heroes.
I had the understanding of my body the way these pros do, right? Like, you would talk
Yes.
about those pelvic exam ladies, like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how, like, I don't could you know exactly where, just like, if
I
someone's just
know.
like tickling an ovary, would you know it?
I remember her being like, "No, you're not there. Oh, see, that's my ovary." And I was like, "How do you know? I'm the one that's trying to touch it." And I was amazed. She was like a mystical, magical being to me in that moment. Because yeah, I do not think I could, other than if they're like clearly in the wrong spot. You know what I mean? Just like
Yeah,
visually. But I'm not. I don't know how I could feel that. I don't know what my
yeah,
ovary really feels like. You know?
yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, I mean, I've had a rectal exam before. Could I
Yeah.
tell you? Like, if you're
Right. Which
if you're in that,
quadrant?
yeah, if you're in the right quadrant,
Yeah.
hell no, I don't know what's going on down there. So, hats off to those folks, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
controversial take, maybe we should
Should
all
we be
take a
doing
turn on the other side. Okay? Like, like, maybe if
Oh,
I'm
the
trying to
ethics boards.
listen, ethics
Not gonna
board, get your shit together and just put us in the fire. Okay? Like, in order for me to be a better
Yeah.
doctor and to understand, like, yeah, I'm gonna have like patients of all walks of life coming in here freaking out about, let me
Yep.
just do a quick rectal exam. They never had it before. They got some sort of feelings about it.
Yep.
wouldn't it help me to help them if I'm just like, listen, man, this is how it's gonna
I
feel.
know.
Let me talk to you about this. Because I know. I did
I've
it.
been there.
I've been in there, you know? I think that's a good policy. We'll work it out with the ethics people.
Yeah, it's good in theory, but it's always actually I remember like doing a medical ethics class in undergrad, and it wasn't about should med students give each other rectal exams. That wasn't the specifics.
Missed
But it
opportunity.
was one of those where it's like how much should a clinician have to experience and so also the flip, like should all patients need to have medical degrees in order to have true informed consent? Like how much do we need to
Mhm.
fully have immersed each other's roles to understand our own? And there's just always going to be like moral quandaries in that. And at the exact same time, like, so for sure, I insert IUDs in my patients.
Okay.
And, before I had an IUD inserted in me, I knew things in theory and was taught certain things. And then I experienced having IUD insertion, as well as I
Mhm.
experienced unmedicated childbirths. And so I get to now, and so it's just a helpful nugget, but I don't think it's the price of admission, but it's a helpful nugget so that now I can say to patients, like, I have experienced these two things. Both of them had discomfort for sure, and I'm here to help minimize the discomfort of the IUD insertion I'm doing on you. And let me tell you, childbirth are way worse. So just so you know, even just to keep it in balance, that's like one of my little lines. I have like, you get your little lines that you
Yeah,
try
yeah,
and get
yeah.
a little giggle. And I can say that because I experienced it. And I definitely was very humbled after experience. Be like, oh, it is like very painful. Interesting. Let me think about how I could do it differently?
Yes. I mean, it's just, yeah, I agree with you. Not the price of admission for being able to explain or empathize to people, right?
Yeah.
But it really
Extremely
does,
useful.
it really is useful. And I think
Yeah.
people can tell, when
Yes.
you felt it. Like when I would
Yes.
take out tonsils on kids and adults, like all the time, I had my tonsils out during residency. My boss took them out. And
That's
I
crazy.
did that 2 weeks of it being awful. And I knew, how to counsel people on exactly kind of what to expect and what the worst could be.
Yeah.
And like, little, you go through it. Sometimes you got little hacks, you got little things to keep in mind that maybe the books didn't teach you. I know I've gone into it on this pod before, but that was when I learned about opioid medications and constipation if you don't take the stool
Mm.
softener that they prescribe to you.
Yes.
And I didn't take the stool softener because I was too loopy on pain medication to remember. And then, yeah, that constipation brings you to your fucking knees. So when somebody tells me that they are constipated from an opioid and they can't walk, I believe them now
You're not
because
like
I
rolling
couldn't
your
walk.
eyes like it's just
Like
constipation.
if no one's
There's no such
listen,
thing as just constipation.
no,
Constipation is real.
it's real. And that's what, listen, my esteemed co-host Frances May was just like, what do you mean constipation? I was like, girl,
No.
thank your lucky stars you've never
Yeah.
been constipated with your
Yeah.
charmed, bowels, because
Oh yeah.
holy cow, you know, that's not okay. It's not
Not yeah.
okay
It's not
crawling
okay.
around the floor as an adult getting desperate. But anyway, uh like I will do whatever it takes.
Just praying. Labor. You've experienced a version of labor pains. It's
Yeah,
not the
it
same, but you
probably
know
is.
what?
That's as close as
Shadows
I'll
of.
get. You
Yes.
know, there it is. I'm trying to experience it all, guys. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, we're in favor here at Social Rounds of everybody experiencing as much as you can.
Yeah.
So that
But
you
to be
can.
clear, I'm not in favor of making people do rectal exams on each other. So
She's
just to
going
say,
on
my
record with that.
personal opinion.
Personally, I think we should. I think
You're
we should
open. Yeah.
give it. I'm open to it. I'm open to these discussions.
Yes.
Or if these need to be off the books, unsanctioned, you know, now we're getting weird.
Back
But
alley.
I'm just listen. Yeah, back alley rectal exams among friends. This
Yeah.
is.
I
I say go
who
for
could
it,
say?
guys. Because
Yeah.
don't you want to be the best doctor you can be? Um, and with that, we're gonna move on. I think that's a great segment.
Great
And
transition. Yeah.
we're moving on to a new segment. which I've just titled Joan Talks About Sexy Gay Hockey. So Joan informed me that it was vital to the community that we get into this. So she wants to have a discussion. And I cannot wait. So Joan,
Yes.
go. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Yes. Well, because I know social rounds, you're trying to, stay hip and happening.
We're so
You're trying
hip.
to stay relevant,
Yes.
get the algorithm yapping and all of that good stuff.
Uh-huh.
And all my algorithm is delivering to me at this point is Heated Rivalry. And that's my fault, but also the internet's fault, because I do think a very large portion of the internet is talking about Heated Rivalry, but also I keep engaging with it. So I know that mine
I
is
mean,
now
as
become
someone
extra
who
skewed.
hasn't seen it, I have heard of this show. The internet does push it to me as well.
Yes.
I've got the gist, but Joan, give us the synopsis, the one-liner of what this is.
I will, though I would love to first know, what have you gleaned so far? Because I think that's fun,
I have gleaned that it is about hockey. It's about these two hockey players who I assume are on different teams and are rivals somehow.
Yep.
Become heated through sexual attraction.
Mhm.
I think one of them's Russian and
Correct.
one of them is like half white, half Asian, right?
Yes.
Which I
Yes.
liked. I love to see that representation.
Same.
But that's all I got.
Okay.
I don't know
Love
how
it.
sexy it gets. I don't know, how
Oh.
deep the rivalry goes, etc.
Deep and sexy for sure. Yes. Okay. So the log line, the blurb is, well, I think it's important to know this is based on a book. Actually,
Okay.
like a book series,
All right.
which is written by Canadian author Rachel Reed.
Okay.
And it's important to know that these books are literally Harlequin novels. Like they're literally under the Harlequin empire, publishing.
So they're
company.
not marketed to as YA.
They are extremely not YA.
This is
The
grown.
Ys,
Okay. I didn't know. I was like, these guys
yep.
look young to me. I was like, is this supposed to be
Right.
teenagers and stuff? Okay.
Not teenagers.
Not for the
Specifically, they're
kids.
not teenagers.
Okay.
They
Okay.
are when it starts, they meet each other and they're like 19. So it's fine. And then they
That's legit,
become,
yeah.
they're NHL players. So they're young professional athletes. And yeah, so that's how it started. Because apparently there's a corner of the romance and Harlequin world that gay hockey, that it's a subgenre, specifically male romance, or that's specifically set in the hockey world. There's other sports maybe, but hockey is sort of outsized in its representation. It's a very popular subgenre.
Why?
I have no idea why it particularly took hold. There's I've seen lots of theories. Is it that hockey is kind of niche, so it's more exotic for a lot of people in parts of America where that's less known, and so it's sort of you don't know the world as well?
Yeah,
Is
I
it
think it is
the
kind
fact
of
that it's
exotic. I
fast
see it
and
because I'm
dangerous?
in my head, I'm comparing it why wouldn't it be basketball? Why wouldn't it be American
Right.
football? Why wouldn't it be soccer? And
Yeah.
the more I think about it, I was like, okay, you get the physical violence of football, but it's more intimate than football
Yes.
because there's
Yes.
fewer people. You can
Yes.
have these one-on-one moments.
Yeah.
Something sexy about moving fast on ice, but very graceful
Yes.
too. It's almost like you're doing
Yes.
sexy dances with someone. You know what I'm saying?
It's
Am I
figure
good?
skating, but
Should I
I actually think you're right.
am
As
I
I
ready
think
for
about
this
it,
already?
this is a show for everyone. That's the other thing to know. Unless you well, maybe if you are actually a youth, ask a parent, because the sex is pretty explicit. But other than that, this is a show for all genres of people. If you just
All right.
love, and
I
also you
do.
don't mind if it's spicy,
Yeah,
it's
no, I'm
something
known
for you.
that. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's I'd say the hockey element of it. And I feel as a Canadian, I know some base level knowledge of hockey, but honestly, I'm subpar Canadian in terms of even how much I know. And this show and the books, which I definitely have read all of them now, have also taught me a lot about hockey structure and the politics behind it. And I just think that, so it's educational as well.
There you go. You're
We love
learning
that.
about the sport of your homeland. I like it.
That's it. And
Yeah.
so yes, so those books, like especially this Heated Rivalry one, it became very popular. And then this Canadian writer and director Jacob Tierney, who's also created other like quite popular Canadian shows, Letterkenny and Shoresy, which are also both connected to or based in the hockey world, which is kind of fun. But
Mhm.
he like stumbled upon this book and loved it. He is gay himself, so I think he was really looking to like create a show that's about like queer love and queer joy. He's said that in interviews. Like, I want to have like a show that's about men falling in love with each other and it's not tragic and there's not AIDS and there's not like someone has to die at the end, because a lot of course that's important to tell those stories too, but he's just like, I want something happy and this book made me happy, so I want to turn it into a TV show. And oh, he did. So it was like
Wow.
created,
Okay.
it was created for Crave, which is a Canadian streaming service. It was made, I don't know the budget, but it was low budget, 6 episodes shot in like a month and a half, all around where I live and work, by the way. Like all the hockey was filmed in the like arena
You
in
did
the
a
same
little
town I work.
walking tour
I
of the
wish
sites.
I
Yeah.
knew about it by like I'm really lobbying to be in the second seasons. Like I need to be an extra in those hockey scenes. That would be so fun. So he turns it into the show. And you know, they think it's gonna be like a cute show. There's definitely like a big fandom of the book, but like big is relative, right? It's like a sub of the romance
Mm.
genre. But then this show gets the trailer gets released back in like late November of like last year. The internet intrigue is already like picking up, so much so that I guess like HBO Max in the States picks it up. And then it starts
Mhm.
being released like episode by episode. And that's where it just every single episode the next week is released. Like it just starts taking off. People are across the genres are like obsessed and interested in the show, including like there's like some straight hockey podcasts that are like recapping the episodes and not being homophobic and loving it. So there's a lot of like kind of healing elements where it's like everyone's on board, everyone's rooting for these boys. So like the
Yes.
phenomenon of it, and now it's like the biggest thing ever. It's like so wild that this tiny little show with these actors that were unknowns, that were like literally waiting tables before this, now are like extremely
I saw
famous
they
out
were
of
like,
nowhere.
presenting awards and
Yes, at
stuff
the
the other
Golden
day.
Globes.
All right.
What?
All right,
That's
boys.
wild.
Well,
So that's the phenomenon.
I love the phenomenon. Thank you for
Yes.
the synopsis. Um, why does our audience, our people who listen to
Yes.
this pod, why do they need this show? What are some lessons that
Yes.
they need to see? Like, why should they spend their time taking this in and not watching the fucking Pit season 2?
I know. That's like the next thing. It's also on Crave. I was like, should I watch The Pit? So first of all,
Don't watch the Pit.
okay.
I'm not watching
I
the Pit.
don't
We
want to watch
talked about that
any
around. It's gonna stress you.
medical.
It's
That's
stressing me out.
so
I
that's
got
it.
nothing.
So folks watching and listening, or you're connected to the medical world, you're interested in like listening to docs talk about pop culture and medicine. So you could engage with more like medical pop culture, but also like, don't you want an escape? Don't you want to like immerse yourself in a fantasy world that has drama, but where everything actually turns out okay? Very light spoiler, it's a romance, obviously. Everything turns out okay in the end
It's
of this,
good to
guys. You
know that
don't
it
have to
that
worry about
even
that.
like, yeah, I wouldn't even assume if you tell me a romance that it's gonna work out fine.
That's
Like,
true.
you
This is
want
that
like
kind.
knowing that we're heading towards a happy ending is very important.
That's like on my list. Like, I don't really want to engage with too much tragedy these days because I could just turn on the news. So, like,
Yep.
I want something that's a beautiful escape. And there's something about these two boys that they're on, yes, opposing hockey teams. And everyone thinks they're rivals, but behind closed doors, they're just so attracted to each other. They can't stop hooking up in hotels. And over the course of many years, they realize maybe we're in love with each other too. And just the slow burn of that process and the specifics of these two characters and like the journeys they go through. You also may relate, they're in this high pressure industry of like professional sports, and in medicine we are under a lot of pressure. We may have pressure from our parents to succeed in different ways, so there could be points of like relating to them as well at the same time. And you
Hmm.
get to just like watch how they overcome those barriers, and the power of love really is what wins in the end.
Yes. Thank goodness.
Thank
And
goodness.
okay, so like I said before, I love love. I'm notorious for that,
Yep.
especially here on this podcast. Let me ask a question though, because I've heard that the kids these days don't
Hmm.
want to see sex on screen. They feel
What?
that,
Oh.
the Gen Zers don't want it, like they think it's there's no such thing as a necessary sex scene. Have you
Oh,
heard this?
interesting.
Like this
No.
discourse these days, like a lot of people are just like, what's the point of ever having a sex scene on a TV or
Hmm.
show or movie? It's just
I
always
see.
gratuitous. It never moves the story forward. Why am
Oh.
I watching this?
Oh, Tony.
So talk to me. Talk to
You
me
know
about
what?
why we need the hockey sex.
We need the hockey sex. And you know what?
Mm,
The thing I will say, like, certainly versions of that argument I would like fully agree with. So, first of all, like, do we ever need to see another act of sexual violence on our screens? I'm just going to argue no. I'm just going to argue no. Let's just like put a pause on that. What if we have enough in the can already? And let's just like
reasonable.
find other plot points. And even if it has to be in the plot because it's like, I don't know, telling a real story, what if I don't have to see it? So like
Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
that, which by the way is not sex anyway, but just to say, like, also, yes, there's ways that sex can be so gratuitous. I've seen like people like reflecting on why this show feels like so like freely, like it's just fun to enjoy the sexiness of it all. And it might be that it's two men, in the sense that like in male female dynamics, there's always the overlay. Like even if they're doing fun things with power dynamics, there's other power dynamics at play. You're
Hmm.
also like someone was saying how they were picturing that like the woman in that set, like, first of all, they feel vulnerable even if they're feeling empowered. There's vulnerability in what they're doing and like being nude in front of a camera. Plus they're probably surrounded by a bunch of men. Like there's like powered stuff that sort of makes it a little like, ew, like did they need to show it? And with these two guys, like there's something where it's a bit more equal dynamic and you're not having to like stress about them. That then makes it more just like you can relax into the fantasy of it all,
Yeah.
you know?
I love that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's such a great point. But also, do you feel that the sex scenes are relevant to the story momentum?
Yes. That's
Are they
like
part of the
actually
storytelling?
yes. And because I will say like I enjoy a rom-com. I enjoy a spicy rom-com book. Like I enjoy that genre. And there are times where they're like, okay, they just were like, it's been too long since the sex scene, so I'm just gonna throw one in here. Or like and like it doesn't move anything forward. But the thing I love specifically of how like Rachel writes and how Jacob then like turned it into the screen is like every sex scene has a purpose. Like there's plot happening and not like shocking plot, but like character development plot, relationship development plot. Like even like which acts they choose to do at first rather than later, what names they choose to call themselves during sex, like that evolves over time and shows their growing intimacy, what like when they're pulling back and struggling.
Mhm.
And so it actually all has like emotional underpinning as well as being, I mean, it is also like probably some of the most like gratuitous not actual porn sex that I've seen. Like they're not showing everything. You never see frontal anything, but you see lots of backs, you see lots of butts. And
Lots
they
of
really are
butts.
depicting it in it's like classy but also not they're not like panning to the window too much. And there's something that's also pretty great about that.
Yeah, just kinda hanging with it. Like,
Just
we're just
hanging
gonna
with it. It's
yeah,
like really showing it versus being like, "Oh, this is embarrassing," versus like, "Look, this
yeah,
is two people enjoying each other's company in a way that many people enjoy each other's company."
yes.
And you're staying with them as humans through it and seeing their connection. So, I'd say I don't know that I've seen like a show or book where it's done quite as well as that. Like that's one of the things I really enjoy about it is how like each time they get together, they're kind of in a different place mentally as well. And that
Mhm.
changes then how the sex goes, which is cool.
Love that. Yes! Okay, guys,
You're
this
already on
is
board?
this is for the grown and sexy.
Yes.
Only for the grown and sexy.
Grown and sexy.
And,
Yes.
yeah, you gotta be a grown up to watch and also to appreciate, you know,
Yes.
adults having great hockey fun romance. There's
Yes.
there's there's conflict, there's sports, there's
Sports.
sexiness, you know, and
There's a lot of Canadian indie music that's from my university era too. So actually, like the needle drops in this are actually pretty
you're
iconic.
gonna
And
get a strange and specific lens into life in Canada for those of
yes,
you who don't live there. It's real. It's real. I mean, you clearly sold me. This
excellent.
is. It sounds like it goes down really easy too. So
Yes.
I'm really excited. Uh, I needed an endorsement because I don't trust the internet. So
Oh,
I needed
yes.
to know that this is
Good.
worth my time. Well,
So you'll have to circle back and tell me what you thought of it.
oh yeah, no, we'll just have you back, and we'll
Yes.
do because you know, Joan Chan, pop culture queen, is you know, like what you're growing to be on this podcast, and I'm
Yep.
totally okay with it. So yeah, I love that. That's everyone's recommendation. You know, Joan gives it 5 out of 5 stars. My
Yes.
review is pending, so we'll
Yep.
see how I feel, but I'm sure I'm gonna love it. So with that, I think we're done. That's awesome. It goes by so
Wow.
quickly, doesn't it?
So quick. Yes.
It's another successful and legendary episode of Social Rounds. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate us 5 stars, leave us a review, and check out our website, hippocratic-collective.com, for more shows and content like this. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.